Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is PsychoGold and this is PsychoGold Videos. Today we'll be checking out the recently released episode of Vinland Saga. It dropped last night, so I'll be checking it out today. I'm not entirely sure what to expect from this episode. I've seen some very quick people have already put their reviews up, and it looks like it's possibly going to be about Askeladd. But first off, I want to give a shout out to all the people who have been commenting on the Vinland Saga videos, because I've actually found it really interesting reading quite a lot of your guys' comments. I didn't realize how many of these characters actually existed in history, and so many of you are so knowledgeable about the subject, and I actually find this stuff really interesting. I know a lot about history from Asia, and I know a lot about history for the UK, because that's where I'm from, but Viking history and sort of like the history of the Scandinavian islands and all of this sort of stuff, I don't really know that much about. I know we got invaded by the Vikings at one point, but that's about it. Anything else I know about them, I either learnt in school, which I've pretty much forgotten, or I've seen in films. So reading your guys' comments about what characters did exist and what battles certain scenes in the anime are supposed to represent, and seeing how much of this seems to have been inspired by true stories or moments in history is actually really kind of cool. So provided that there's not going to be any spoilers in it, I definitely am hoping that you guys will continue to do that, because I'm actually finding it really interesting when I see someone's left me a nice chunk of historical information to go alongside with the episode I've watched. Quite a few of you are doing that. This isn't just one guy. There's quite a few comments between Patreon and YouTube, so thank you. And with that said, we're going to dive into this episode and see what exactly is next for Thorfinn and Askeladd, because I don't know if this episode is going to be purely them traveling on a boat, dealing with what happened, or if we're going to get somewhere and something physical is going to happen. But either way, it'll probably be very, very interesting, because every episode of Vinland Saga has actually been pretty good. There hasn't been a bad episode yet, so let's not break that yet. 3, 2, 1, go. I like the way he's got a little throne there almost built into the back of his boat. Ah, episode 5, The Troll's Son. Yeah, he's looking a bit worse for wear now. That's about what I thought he would be. So another thing that I kind of want to point out, that I thought about when we first met Askeladd, is he doesn't really dress like a Viking. He actually looks more like a Roman soldier, and somebody else pointed this out in the comments section. There's something that I missed, is the name of his ancestor isn't a Viking name, so I'm now kind of wondering what the backstory is for Askeladd. I'm very curious to learn much more about him. Well, Thorfinn made it off the boat. They doesn't look like they even bothered to check if he was there or not. I guess they don't care either way. Ah, back in the days when you could go to a river and drink it and assume it was okay. Certainly wouldn't you want to do that now in England. What the? Okay. Oh! That's both painful and creepy. How? Oh. Yeah, alright, I don't need to see that, thanks. Why are they burning down this village, though? Like, I assume they've been paid to do that. Or maybe not. Maybe they just raided it for its supplies. They're asleep. He could totally get in and kill him. Definitely not got any sympathy for him if they die. But we all know Thorfinn isn't going to kill Askeladd. I wonder if he's even asleep, to be completely honest. Who's in the other bed? Can he do it? Wow. Oh! Askeladd's. So he did know he was there. He didn't want to do it because he's not a rogue. He's a fighter. I like the way they're all cheering him on. See, now if he'd taken out his knife, that would have worked better, because he could have sliced him. But I was gonna say, I completely agree. You're not physically strong enough yet. And I'm definitely using the word yet. You're not in any fixed state to hunt something. I mean, you might get lucky. I mean, I would say he could find some berries out there, but I doubt he'd know which ones are edible. Or if he'd even realized that some of them are poisonous, so that could end very badly. Rain-soaked meat scraps. Nice and cold. There's a film that has a very similar sort of... Oh! Oh, okay, we're seeing this side of things as well. Oh, wow. Okay, she's not emotional. Yeah, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. I feel like she's just in denial on that one. Yeah, she's gonna turn into Super Ylva and do everything. Venus! Venus! So she's basically decided to deal with it by throwing herself into life on the farm. Oh yes, her mom is not stupid. I like her. It's like, no. There we go. Damn. Okay, that was actually handled really well. I like that. It makes a change to have a competent parent. Or two, should I say, because Thor's was good too, but you know what I mean. Oh, it is him. He looks completely different. Oh, damn. It was like, didn't even flinch. You cannot match the physical ability of a grown adult. You're too young. I like the way everybody's treating him, though. They're, like, really not that fussed. But they're also not being mean of him. Yeah, I was gonna say, you may want that. Ooh. I'm surprised he's attacking you on his own, though. I'd be looking behind me as well. Is he gonna take his dagger out this time? That's how you should have done it against Askeladd. Doesn't matter whether the animal attacks first or not. Whenever they make the noise of those animals in pain, regardless of how vicious they are, it's always that moment of, I really don't want to hear that. Oh, there we go. He's realized you can throw knives. I shall train every day against the leaves. The strongest opponents. I'm gonna say, just because you can chuck a dagger and kill a rabbit does not mean that you are ready to go back and face him again. But he's gonna try, isn't he? You can see it in his eyes. They all want him to accept the duel again. They don't think he stands a hope in hell. It's like, they're so mean, in inverted commas. I love the fact that he's literally just walking backwards. That's his great military might. Oh, there we go. That sounded like he was winded, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna say, I'll be amazed if he can stand up. Oh! So close! Nice! Damn! So he won't duel with him again until he does something great on the battlefield. Just like his dad, basically. Oh. Okay. How's he gonna find them, though? Like, I thought he was gonna end up basically being put on the ship, but it looks to me like he's gonna stay in England. I mean, he could hone his combat skills in England, I suppose, but it's not the best place, at least not for the time period, anyway. Well, here you go, ladies and gentlemen, that is Vinland Saga episode 5. A lot happened in that episode, but also not a lot happened in that episode. We basically got to see what happens, I guess, literally after episode 4, which was kind of nice, but at the same time we also got to see the ramifications of Thor's death at home on his family, and I really liked those scenes, to be honest. The way that his wife and his daughter dealt with it was different, but the same. His wife, from the looks of it, kinda just didn't do anything for a few days. as far as I'm concerned, all of that happened over a period of a few days. I can't see that all have been one day. But his daughter basically threw herself into her family life, getting every single chore done. When all the chores were done, she did all of the, what I'm going to categorize as farm work. When all the farm work was done, she went around basically tidying everything, clearing the snow, doing everything that tours would do. Then she decided that she was going to go and hunt some of the sea creatures that lived there, and then she decided she was going to make something. Then she decided she was going to finish something else, and basically she refused to let herself actually process what's happened. She's just constantly making sure that she had a different task that she could throw herself into, whether that be gathering water, carrying stuff, and she was doing everything well. She was getting the hunting done first, she was lifting way more water than the other women, she was doing basically every single job, whether it be a job that's typically done by a man or a woman. She was doing all of it, and she was doing it better than everybody else, which, I mean, it doesn't really surprise me because she also has the troll of Jom's blood running through her, and we know that her mother is the daughter of the leader of the Viking crew that Thors is from, so she's not exactly a pushover or a weakling either in her own right, but she has obviously very different strengths and weaknesses, but their children are obviously the best of both of them, in theory, so it makes sense that when push comes to shove, they're both able to kind of push through it and basically get the pressure of everything that's going on around them doesn't crush them, it just turns them into diamonds, and she's a lot older than her brother is, so it makes sense that she's able to do these things, but I like the fact that her mum could see what was going on, and when it was time, and you know, okay, fine, let her do everything, there's nothing wrong with that, short term, but when she could see that she was just not gonna stop, she stepped up and was like, no, end of debate, and just that someone saying no was enough to crack the very, very, very brittle shell that she put up around herself and her emotions, and I thought that was brilliant. It's just a nice way of dealing with emotions that sometimes I think when shows try to handle, they can be a bit ham-fisted or they can oversimplify it, and I think this one did a nice mix between showing the ramifications but not having it drag out throughout an entire series. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that that's it, she's over. You know, getting over the death of anyone is a very difficult process, and it's completely different for every individual that has to deal with it. But I like the fact that they didn't drag out her not dealing with it for several episodes. If we're also going to see, or continue to see, what happens in the area that they're from, instead of always being about Thorfinn and what's going on with his bandit friends. And speaking of dealing with things in their own way, obviously Thorfinn's way of dealing it has basically been to swear vengeance upon Askeladd and constantly challenge him at every single opportunity that he gets, and I don't think that's going to be a viable long-term strategy, if I'm being completely honest with you. That road, I think, is only going to lead to damnation or death. Or at least it would against a normal person, but Askeladd for some reason has decided to go with a bit of an unconventional solution to his current predicament, whereby he has decided that if Thorfinn does something great on the battlefield, I don't know which battlefield or where or how long in the future this has to be, but if he does, then Askeladd will grant him the duel that he seeks. Now, of course, for me this is a bit of an issue because Thorfinn isn't old enough to do anything great on the battlefield, in my opinion, so how long is Askeladd gonna basically let this be something that he can cash in, you know? Is he still going to basically honor the duel if he's like an old man and Thorfinn approaches him when he's like in his 20s or 30s? I know obviously people didn't have the same life expectancies that they do now, so if Thorfinn does get to his 30s, I imagine Askeladd will be dead anyway, but it's just one of those things where Thorfinn is going to have to grow up and get better really quickly. I mean, the way he was able to hone his own knife-throwing skills, and I think that was a wolf. At first, I thought it was a fox, but that's because of the lighting. I think it was supposed to be a wolf, but maybe it was a fox, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, it's unusual for a fox to just attack somebody that fights back in that regard, unless there's a reason for it to. I mean, I would have said the same with a wolf in all honesty, but it definitely sounded like a wolf once he stabbed it, so maybe it was just a wild dog, because wolves don't tend to go on their own, so maybe it was just a wild dog. But anyway, he killed that, then he managed to basically train well enough to kill the rabbit, and I think he just vastly overestimated the difference between a rabbit and a wolf and a trained killer, you know? In my mind, there was absolutely no way that that tiny amount of improvement that he had was going to put him on the level of the guy that ordered the death of his father. I won't say beat his father, because we all know that he didn't actually beat him in a duel, but Askeladd was still able to basically not die in the first few seconds, so he clearly is a competent warrior in his own right, and probably the best warrior there of his entire crew, in my opinion, given everybody else's reaction to Thor's defeating him. Either way, I do have to admire Thorfinn and the fact that he just doesn't have any fear. I do think that he can definitely become like his dad and probably actually be more terrifying than his dad because he's going to be driven by vengeance. But as the old saying goes, when you seek revenge, you need to dig 2 graves, one for your enemy and one for yourself. And I definitely think that's going to come back to haunt him. The enemies he makes, the things that he's probably going to do because he's willing to do them for his revenge, it's going to give him his own set of enemies and his own set of issues and obstacles, and just in the same way that Thor's has died because of abandoning his post and all of the stuff that we don't know happened in the past, and we don't know what happened between him and Floki that made Floki want to kill him, Thorfinn could now be basically about to start his own journey that he may finish, but unknowingly create his own monsters that are going to come looking for revenge long after Thorfinn thinks this is all settled. Because that's the fun of revenge, it doesn't really ever end. You seek your revenge and then somebody else wants to seek revenge on you. The only real way to do it is to basically do a bit of a red wedding and make sure that everybody's dead. And that ain't revenge, that's just flat out massacring. So, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how Thorfinn chooses to approach every situation. Personally, I think he's going to become a stone cold killer who will struggle a little bit at first, like he did after he killed the wolf. There was a brief moment of trying to deal with the situation, but he didn't exactly seem to have that much of a problem with the fact that he killed it, and then he immediately went and killed the rabbit. Now again, different time period, I know that, so people didn't have the same apprehension towards killing things that they do nowadays. But at the same time, it is still a different thing to have that mindset but than to actually do it. I am surprised that he didn't have a little bit of an emotional moment after he'd killed the wolf. Now, that might have just been because there's adrenaline going through him, and obviously the wolf, the dog, whatever it was trying to kill him. I keep calling it a wolf, but I don't think it actually was. But anyway, so he may have had that moment afterwards, then we just didn't see it, and maybe they'll play that back in another episode. But for my money, I don't think he did. I think, you know, he is a Viking, and I think he is the son of the troll, and I think that same ability to push through it that his daughter was using to keep going with all of her tasks so that she wouldn't break down is the same ability that Thor's uses to push through and kill everybody and not dwell on that until after the fight is done. And I think Thorfinn has that, but I don't think Thorfinn realizes that he has that. And as long as he is single-minded, obsessed with killing Askeladd, he's not going to actually deal with or think about the repercussions of any of the actions that he takes. And I'm wondering if perhaps some of those repercussions is going to be something that we, the audience, are going to have to be like, ooh, not sure I agree with that, lad, or, the morality of this issue is a bit dicey. I don't know, I like shows like that, so I won't mind that at all, but I'm going to be very curious to see just what exactly Thorfinn's going to do now that he has been basically given this ultimatum. I'm not going to really theorize, I'm just going to wait and see what episode 6 has in store for us, but yeah, I'm very curious to see it. Either way, that's going to be it for me, guys. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, drop comments down below. If you're newer to this channel, please feel free to subscribe. I will be continuing Vinland Saga, and so far, fingers crossed, I haven't had any issues with it. So, I'm actually quite, I'm quite happy to continue with it. Any other anime that you guys would like me to react to, or if there's anything that you think I should be checking out, feel free to let me know down in the comments section. Can't promise I'll get to it, as I'm doing a lot more anime than I'm currently posting. I will try and get more and more posted. Obviously, I had a bit of a catch-up spree the other day for both Vinland Saga and Fire Force. I'm hoping to do the same thing very soon for My Hero Academia, and then other stuff will start trickling out and become more regular again. But yeah, trying to balance between recording and editing is always great fun. But with that said, guys, I'm going to end the video here. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video, but this is PsychoGold signing out.